I'm Nicholas Hoffman, an international criminal court defense lawyer. I'm committed to providing the strongest possible defense.
As I mentioned in my opening statement, the prosecution knows that it is not enough simply to assert that Rodrigo Duterte said outrageous things and that deaths occurred, and so, as a result, he must be criminally responsible. There is a requirement for what is called a causal nexus. The prosecution has to show which one of Duterte's statements, orders, or commands were given to a specific individual who then went out and pulled the trigger or communicated the command to someone else who also went out and pulled the trigger, killing one of its 78 identified victims. That would have been the classical way to prove a causal link between stuff that came out of Rodrigo Duterte's mouth and the deaths pertinent to the case. That would have been ordering under Article 25(3)(b). But the prosecution cannot show such a causal link. They've never been able to do that. They show you a lovely pyramid. It's on the screen, with Duterte at the top, the co-perpetrators underneath, the DDS handlers underneath them, and the hitmen perpetrators at the very bottom. To quote Mr. Julian Nichols, how cute. But what the learned prosecutors can't show you is the connecting line between Duterte at the top and the next level down, comprising the so-called co-perpetrators. I hope Ms. Croft will forgive me for vandalizing her screenshot, but there you have it. That is where the apex slips off the pyramid of Giza. The most they can do is allege that their cooperating witnesses who pulled the trigger and whose credibility is about as worthless as a devalued peso, understood that killing is what Duterte would have wanted, or that they had no choice but to comply because that was what was expected of them by their handlers, or other such similar expressions of a totally subjective sense of obligation. But as they know, not one of the 49 incidents mentioned in the document containing the charges manifests such a causal link between a speech, an order, and one of the charged incidents. I will state it for the record. In fact, I will state it a number of times during my submissions. There is no smoking gun in this case, and that is not for want of a desperate attempt to find one on the part of the prosecution with all their leading questions when they interviewed their criminal cooperating witnesses. Not one witness relevant to any of the 49 incidents with which Mr. Rodrigo Duterte is charged will testify that he received a direct order from the former president to go out and kill someone. Let us just digest this. All those speeches where the former president made various threats to kill, but not one demonstrable incident set out in the prosecution's document containing the charges, which details an act of murder committed as a result of a direct order given by him. This, in and of itself, should be sufficient to convince any reasonable bystander observing the conduct of these proceedings that Rodrigo Duterte is innocent of these charges leveled at him. It is for this reason, and because of the complete lack of reliable cooperating witnesses, that the prosecution has alleged not one, but a plethora of theories as to the means of perpetration, to link the crimes allegedly committed to the person who is far removed from the incidents of murder and who has been targeted for prosecution. And I say targeted for prosecution.
I'm Nicholas Hoffman, an international criminal court defense lawyer. I'm committed to providing the strongest possible defense.